So I got a new job, a more traditional job than my last one. And, it has a lot more hours too. The old one was kind of like a part-time job. And even that's a pretty big stretch to call it a part-time job. Because I didn't really get that many hours. But in this one, I get like you know, a decent hours, not as many hours as I want, but, decent enough to help out and stuff like that. And it just makes me think, seeing this job I have now and, hearing all the stuff I used to hear when I was younger, it just makes me think, where's the boogeyman? You know what I mean? Because my whole life, every older person, every boomer has been telling me, "Oh, you got to go to college. You got to go to college, or you're gonna work a job that's awful. You're gonna work an awful job, and it's gonna break your back, and it's gonna break you down entirely, and it's gonna be awful, and you're gonna have a miserable life." And that's just not true. I've been working here for quite a while. Well, not quite a while, but a while, and it's not that bad. I mean, sure, there's like customers and things like that that are annoying and angry and stuff like that, but it's nothing I didn't expect. It's nothing I didn't expect from like a college job, you'd say, right? Like if I got a fancy office job from a college or whatever, it's nothing I'd imagine would be non-existent in those areas, right? Like I'd probably still have to deal with dishonest managers sometimes and things like that. And that just seems like part of the job. I'm just there to do my work and get paid. This whole time I went to college because I wasn't allowed to just have a regular job, okay? Originally, after high school, I said I wanted to just get a regular job and build up resources and then figure out if I wanted to go to college. And I was threatened with homelessness for that. They said, "Oh, this is my house, my rules. You're gonna go to college or you're gonna get out of here." And that was pretty scary to me, having never worked a job ever before at 18. So, I in my mind, I had no choice but to go to college and waste a lot of time. I mean, it's not like I learned nothing, but overall, I'd say my time would have been much better spent building up resources like I originally wanted to. Like, I missed out on a lot because of, the obsession with college. Eventually, I did get like a very small part-time job in college, but I still missed out on so much. I missed out on a lot of monetary opportunities with crypto and things like that, which I was like in. Like with the small amounts of money I did have, I did occasionally throw some in there, but because of more boomer interference, let's say, I missed out on a lot. But I'll tell you guys that another time because it is a very frustrating story, and I'd like to talk about it. But basically, I feel like I missed out on a lot because of all the money I didn't get and all the time I wasted being at college instead of learning, like learning about things I cared about. Sometimes that my boomer parents will say, "Oh, well, why don't you go to college for something you care about?" And it's just I don't know how to describe it, but school is it's not the way I learn the best. I like to crack open books and I like to learn on my own. And I feel like I learn a lot better that way. I learn more in depth. And it feels like that's what college wants you to do, but it just tells you to do it. And so it's just I don't know, it's kind of boring. Like college didn't really teach you that much. Didn't really teach me that much. Especially the core classes for things like management or whatever. A lot of it was just really common sense stuff. A lot of it was just like, oh, well, you can't overwork your workers. You can't talk meanly to them, or very basic common sense stuff like that. Stuff that anyone could put together on their own if they just looked at it. And that's part of why I think college is a big waste of time because I feel like so many of the jobs that they certify you for, so to speak, could be easily learned just by, watching someone else do it or being taught directly by them, and much faster too, probably. Instead of spending 4 years at college, you could probably spend like, I don't know, even just a month or two watching someone else do a specific job. and learn how to do it. For college stuff, for like business stuff. I'm not saying for things like mechanics. Mechanics, I think you would have to like actually study for that and everything, but that's like a trade school thing, I think, not a college thing. But overall, yeah, I missed out on a lot because of this focus on college, because I wasn't allowed to explore and, build up resources like I wanted to, or else I was threatened with homelessness if I didn't go to college. And all that college kept me from getting a job that gave me a lot of hours on top of that. So, now that I'm out and, I got my degree, which is useless because no one's hiring right now anywhere. Even my friends that have gone to college are all like, "Oh, well, there's nothing anywhere. It's a bunch of problems." Bunch of problems they could probably tell you more about than I can, but it looks pretty grim. Even one of my bosses is like, "Oh, well, my daughter went to college. She graduated. It's been like 2 years. She can't even find a job." So it just kind of indicates me more that college was a waste of time. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I knew it would suck. I actually knew college was a waste of time beforehand, or I at least felt strongly like it would be. So that's part of why I wanted to wait before choosing to go. And what pisses me off is that my I never mind. I'll save that for another time too. There's a nice big compilation video I want to make with all the things related to that. But basically, I missed out on a lot because of college. And I'm not saying it would work for nobody. I'm sure there's some things in college that some people could get out of it, but it's not this objective improvement boomers think it is. Boomers were raised this whole time through TV and the news and everything. They're like, "Oh, college is the way to go." Sometimes you'd see like, "Oh, well, this guy's passionate, but he needs college to fall back on in case." And it's like, well, people can't fall back on college now. Some people are trying to fall back and they can't find a job. And then boomers collectively did this rug pull where they're like, "Oh, they've been telling us our whole lives to go to college. We're gonna have awful lives if we don't go to college." And then what happens now when a lot of us can't find jobs after going to college? They're like, "Oh, we never promised you it would be easy." It's like, yeah, you did. You said it would only be easy if we went to college, actually. So yeah, I did miss out on a lot. Oh, I missed out on something real big that I do plan on telling you guys about in the future. But yeah, basically at my job now, it's not so bad. I just deal with customers. Some are grouchy, some are, Karens for lack of a better term. But it is what it is. I don't get upset. I just don't get upset at people being upset at me. I'm just not that kind of guy. So it comes fairly easy to me. It's something to do. It comes easy. My job really isn't the issue at all. This like standard job that, you know, probably some of you watching might even work. But yeah, I remember all the things boomers told me about college and how important it was, and it's like I would have preferred doing this for 4 years or whatever and building up the money from that. I would have been much better off if I was just allowed to do that, honestly. 100%. Especially considering a lot of the aforementioned things that I missed out on, the opportunities that I would have seen if I was, allowed to spend a lot of money that I would have had if I was allowed to work. But yeah, if you ask me, the only thing that really sucks about, the average job nowadays isn't even something boomers really brought up. Well, I guess they did kind of bring it up because they do say, "Oh, college, you're going to get a lot of money." But in the past, these average jobs were able to pay for a living. And I know because my boomer parents worked these average jobs and they were the ones complaining about them. They were the one complaining about these average jobs like, "Oh, these are horrible. You're going to suffer if you don't go to college." It's like, "Well, you did pretty good. You had more than enough. You even bought a lot of luxuries if you ask me." They weren't like super rich or anything, but I mean, they always had the latest game console or whatever, so it's not like we were surviving on scraps or anything. So, yeah, that's the only thing that's wrong with jobs today is it's not even the jobs themselves, it's the economy because everything's so expensive now, and that's not something a job can really fix. I don't even think you can really fix it by just raising the minimum wage because like if you're basing the value of things off of, the hours someone worked, raising the wage is just going to raise the price for everything else too. So yeah, it's not even like a problem with the jobs. The economy is definitely the bigger issue, but even then, college isn't going to save you nowadays. Not with the way the job market is right now. But yeah, I'm just kind of angry. I know I don't sound that angry, but I am very angry at boomers for like scaring me into going to college and telling all of us our whole lives that college was the way to go. It was the only path to success. And then, now look at it. Now a lot of us can't even get hired. I had to file applications for a long time before even getting my like regular job right now. I can't imagine how bad it is for someone with like specialization with, the H-1Bs and things like that, where they're just filling in people for, where they're filling people in with college degrees for people who are willing to work for pennies on the dollar. So, yeah, I'm mad at boomers for, turning regular jobs into this big boogeyman, you know what I mean? And, if you guys feel a similar way, let me know. I'd like to know. And that's about it. Thanks.